Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's going on? So Terence Crawford recently took a business meeting with Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, and Bernard Hopkins. He posted a picture. Well, actually, Oscar De La Hoya and the Golden Boy, they posted photos of them and Terence Crawford in a caption saying that just met with the pound for pound #1 fighter Terence Bud Crawford. There's been rumors about the details of that meeting, the contents of the meeting, or what the potential fight contract might look like. I'm hearing people say that it's a potential 3-fight deal, which would include Virgil Ortiz, who is a rising star from right here in the DFW. Incredible fighter, one of my favorite guys to watch. Another guy who is making a name for himself, mostly known for stopping Blair Cobbs, is Alexis Rocha. Really good fighter as well. Very aggressive and powerful fighter when it comes to landing big shots and being able to just press guys out of there. Rocha is a really fun fighter to watch. And then they also mentioned a potential fight with Errol Spence Jr. at the end of that. I guess the lineup is supposed to be like, this is just all rumors. I don't think anybody has confirmed the contents of that contract that they're supposedly working on for Terence Crawford. But they're saying that it's supposed to be like Rocha, while Virgil Ortiz is fighting Stanionis, and then Virgil Ortiz next. If he beats Stanionis, that's not a foregone conclusion. I think that's a 50-50 fight, and I think either one of those guys can win. It's a really good chance that Stanionis wins that fight, but I like Virgil a lot in that fight. And then they're saying that, you know, Oscar is planning to try to facilitate a deal between Golden Boy and PBC to put together Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Well, all that shit sound good, but I'm here to give y'all the truth, the real shit. You feel me? I'm here to give y'all reality. You feel me? So, Terence Crawford, if he actually does sign this multi-fight deal, now first and foremost, let me just say this: I think Terence Crawford as a free agent, as a businessman, as one of the top boxers in the sport, a guy who he's a commodity. You know, he hasn't had a great track record with selling pay-per-views. We don't know what the BLK Prime shit really did. If it really did numbers like that, then he would most likely be still with BLK Prime. But obviously, the shit tanked, and that's why BLK Prime not bringing him back. You feel what I'm saying? Because if it was lit like that, they would have did another deal. You know what I'm saying? He would have robbed their ass for another bag. But obviously the shit, he hit a sweet lick and dipped up out that motherfucker. Just like I told y'all, that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they paid him no $10 million. You know, the numbers, the truth of the numbers actually came out after all of the hoopla about him, you know, moving on to sign this, you know, extravagant deal with BLK Prime, whom nobody ever heard of, who on paper, I don't, you know, think that company is even worth $10 million to be able to pay Terence Crawford $10 million. But that's neither here nor there. The point I'm making is that the track record as far as him selling out big events, doing big gates and big pay-per-views is just not there. However, his accomplishments as a fighter, the fact that there's still big fights that people want to see Terence Crawford in, because to be quite frank, out of all of the stuff that he's accomplished, even with all of that, it's still a lot left to be desired. People still feel like they haven't seen Terence Crawford tested. People still feel like they haven't seen him fight a top prime fighter that's on his level, or somebody who ain't just coming to lay down. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I believe there's he has value and he's a commodity, because you can still, if you're able to, you can still get him in fights that people want to see. And I think that's what Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy is banking on. That's what they trying to do. They believe they can put him in there with a Virgil Ortiz, and it either, you know, solidifies Terence Crawford as the bad motherfucker that we all think he is, or it elevates Virgil Ortiz into becoming a superstar if he can whoop Terence Crawford. He can potentially facilitate a deal. These are the thoughts that I'm thinking that Oscar De La Hoya is having by considering bringing on Terence Crawford for a multi-fight deal. I can facilitate a fight to put him in the ring with Errol Spence, the most anticipated fight in the sport in years. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he has value. However, if this is so, and the reason I bring that up, his value is, I don't blame Terence Crawford for exercising his freedom and going and get these bags and sign, you know, moving around, shaking and baking, and, you know, getting these. I don't blame him for that, you know, because I've already accepted the fact that Terence Crawford, you know, he may not be as invested as me as a fan in the legacy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's just not that invested. He didn't already showed me that, and I've accepted that. Which leads me to the point of this video. If you see in the title, Terence Crawford signing a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy, that puts the end to any undisputed talks between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford at 47. That should not happen in that 47. And Errol Spence moving up, rumored to be moving up to 154 to take on Keith Thurman. I think these guys kind of had an idea of how Terence Crawford might be moving. And, you know, Errol Spence is just not willing to wait around at 147, even though he desperately wants to be undisputed in that division, wants to become the first 4-belt era undisputed champion at 147. I just think, you know, Errol Spence, I think when he moves up to 54 and takes on Keith Thurman, even though they made all the plays behind the scenes to be able to allow him to keep his titles and still make that move, if Terence Crawford signed this deal with Golden Boy, which could include 3 fights, 2 of them would happen before they even consider fighting Errol Spence, you can forget about it, because I told y'all this is the last year that Errol Spence is fighting at 147 or even considering fighting in a division. Once he go up to 54 and Terence Crawford gets stuck, he put himself in a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy, it's a wrap. It's over with for 147. Now, that don't mean the fight can't happen. I still think there's a chance that the fight happens, but it's going to be at 154, and it ain't going to be for Undisputed. Now, you know, I'm an advocate for Undisputed. I want to see one face, one name, one champion. However, that's a fight that I want to see. I don't give a fuck what weight class it's in. So, and we discussed this already. I'm cool with the fight happening at 154. I think it's cool. You know, Terence Crawford has talked about how, you know, he wants to move up to 54 eventually. Errol Spence, we already know how he feels about his struggles with making 147, and that he intends to continue his career at 154. I think it's about that time. I don't think Errol Spence needs to wait around any longer and continue to deplete himself to shrink down to 147. I mean, it's just going to be what it's going to be. I think Errol Spence moves up to 54, takes on Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford signs this deal with Golden Boy, and we don't get a Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight till maybe mid 2024. After Errol done had a couple of fights at 54, Terence Crawford, if he can get past these 2 or 3 guys that Oscar gonna set him up with, you know what I'm saying, then and only then we'll have an Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight, and it's gonna be at 154. I know that ain't something y'all wanted to hear, but that's just the truth of the matter. That's just what this shit looking like. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what it is, man. And I think, and I'll be honest, I think that's a great fight with Terence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz. They could do that fight right here in Dallas, Texas. You know what I'm saying? Cowboy Stadium. You know, they can do it You feel me? They can do it. It's a couple of venues. They could do it at the American Airlines Center. You know what I'm saying? Pack that motherfucker out. You feel what I'm saying? I'm cool with that fight. That's a good fight. But I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this right here. One interesting factor that's kind of in the back of my mind, like, well, if Terence Crawford wouldn't sign a multi-fight deal with PBC, where most of the guys that he, claims that he want to fight, the Errol Spence Jr.'s, the Jerron Boots Ennis's, you got Rashidi Ellis, you got Keith Thurman. You want to go to 154. You say you want Jermell Charlo. You want to get a shot at Undisputed with Jermell Charlo. Well, he's with PBC. I just don't understand how Terence Crawford would even consider signing a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy, but not PBC, where all of the smoke is at. I don't understand that. You don't trust Al, but you trust Oscar. It's not registering with me. You feel what I'm saying? You won't sign a multi-fight deal with PBC, where you got Errol Spence, Jermell Charlo, the two guys that you say you want the most. Keith Thurman, you say you want him. Danny Garcia, you say you want him. You know what I'm saying? But you'll sign a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy. The math ain't math, and I'm just saying. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about Terence Crawford potentially signing a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy? Do you think he's actually going to go through with it? What do you think the contents of that deal might look like? And how do you think that impacts us getting the fight that we all want to see, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford? Me personally, I don't think the fight happens at 147. And I'm cool with it, even though I want to see Undisputed desperately. And I want that for Errol Spence. And if Terence Crawford was good enough to achieve it twice and be the first male fighter in the history of the 4-belt era. Holyfield did it before in the 3-belt era. But if Terence Crawford was good enough to achieve that, well, shit, he deserved it. You know what I'm saying? But I really want that for Errol Spence. But it just don't seem like it's going to happen. But I'm cool with the fight happening at 154. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime, boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.